August 1942, Egypt. A caravan park near the coast, British 8th Army headquarters. The new commander stood at a map table. The desert heat pressed through canvas walls. Dust coated everything. He spoke to his staff. His voice was calm, clinical. The enemy is exhausted. His supply lines are broken. He has no fuel to maneuver. The officers listened. Some had heard promises before. The commander continued, "We will not attack until we are ready. We will not improvise. We will prepare methodically." One word hung in the air, methodically. Some called it caution, others called it slow. Outside, soldiers whispered about the enemy across the wire, the desert fox, the legend who moved faster than supply columns, who appeared where he shouldn't be. The commander had read the reports. Rommel's brilliance, his daring raids, his reputation. He was not impressed. He saw numbers, logistics, fuel shortages, a cornered predator with no room to hunt. The map showed a thin line, sea to the south, impassable depression to the north, 60 miles of front, minefields, fixed positions. The commander traced the line with his finger. Here, we will break him. He believed it would be a matter of preparation, of firepower, of grinding down an exhausted foe. He was right about the preparation, but what he didn't yet know was this: his slowness, the very trait his critics mocked, would become the weapon that shattered a legend. In 12 weeks, at a place called El Alamein, the world would learn why the slow general broke the desert fox. June 21st, 1942, Tobruk. The fortress fell in a single day. 33,000 men surrendered, fuel dumps captured, supply depots intact. Churchill received the news in Washington. He called it a disgrace, but for the desert fox, it was validation. Rommel had done what seemed impossible, a port that had held for months, gone in hours. His method was simple: find the weak point, strike fast, don't wait for orders. His tank columns moved before dawn. They appeared where British intelligence said they couldn't be, outflanked defensive lines, cut communications. By the time headquarters understood what was happening, Rommel was already behind them. The psychological effect was immediate. British officers stopped trusting their maps. Radio chatter filled with uncertainty. Where is he now? Soldiers began calling him by his nickname, not with respect, with fear: the Desert Fox. By late June, his army was across the Egyptian border, 60 miles from Alexandria, 120 from Cairo. British units retreated in disorder. Some formations lost cohesion, trucks abandoned on roadsides, fuel too precious to waste on discipline. In London, they prepared to evacuate Egypt. Rommel sensed it, the collapse. One more push and the Nile was his. He wrote to his wife, "We are on the brink of decisive victory." He was nearly right. But then, the fuel stopped coming. Convoys sunk in the Mediterranean. Luftwaffe needed elsewhere. Italian trucks broke down. At a narrow line near a railway stop called El Alamein, the pursuit stalled. First Battle of El Alamein, July 1942. Rommel attacked, then paused. Attacked again, paused. The British line held, barely, but the damage was done. Not on the map, in the mine. By August, when the new commander arrived, 8th Army had been pushed back 500 miles. They had lost Tobruk, Gazala, Mersa Matruh. They had lost something else, too: the belief that they could beat him. The soldiers who stood at El Alamein knew one thing: Rommel had come within 60 miles of ending their war, and if he got fuel again, he would come again. Two paths to the same desert. November 1914, Flanders. A young officer led his platoon through German fire. He was shot, lung, nearly lost his life. He spent weeks watching men fall from bad planning. Attacks ordered without artillery support. Waves sent forward without reconnaissance. The lesson burned in. Poor preparation cost soldiers their lives. After the war, he refused glamorous posts. He chose training commands, staff work, the unglamorous mathematics of warfare. Other officers found it tedious. Montgomery found it essential. He rewrote training manuals, ran exercises until units could coordinate in darkness, studied logistics like an accountant. His method crystallized: Never attack unless you have overwhelming superiority. Never improvise. Control every variable. In 1940, Dunkirk, his division was one of the last to evacuate. Organized retreat, discipline held. By 1942, his reputation was clear, meticulous, cautious, slow, but unbeaten. October 1917, Caporetto, Italy. A German lieutenant led a mountain battalion through Italian lines. No artillery preparation, just speed and surprise. 56 hours, 1,500 prisoners, 9,000 by week's end. The lesson: speed overwhelms preparation. He earned medals, but what he remembered was the feeling, being inside the enemy's decision cycle, making them react instead of plan. Between wars, he wrote a book, Infantry Attacks. The core idea: aggression solves problems, hesitation creates them. May 1940, France. Rommel commanded 7th Panzer Division. They called it the Ghost Division. Headquarters lost track of where it was. Rommel didn't wait for orders. He led from the front. Motorcycle, command vehicle, sometimes the captured tank. 6 weeks, from Belgium to Cherbourg, 400 miles. His method was proven. Find the weak point, move faster than the enemy can respond. Accept risk. February 1941, Libya. He arrived with orders to defend. He attacked instead. 3 months later, British forces were back in Egypt. By mid-1942, his reputation was legend. Unpredictable, bold, fast, but always outnumbered, always short on fuel. August 1942, El Alamein. 2 generals, 2 philosophies. Montgomery arrived at 8th Army headquarters with a simple plan: stop retreating, build strength, attack when ready. He looked at the map: 60 miles of front, sea to mines, no room for Rommel to maneuver. Perfect. Across the wire, Rommel saw the same map: narrow front, fixed positions, no room to raid flanks. A nightmare. His army sat on a thin supply line, convoys torpedoed weekly, fuel rationed daily, tank divisions that couldn't maneuver. 2 methods, both proven, but only one fit this battlefield. Montgomery had spent weeks preparing, stockpiling shells, training coordination, building overwhelming force. Rommel had spent weeks waiting for fuel that never came. The slow general had turned the desert into a logistics problem. The fast general had no logistics to solve it with. By October 1942, everything was in place. Not for a battle, for a test. Could preparation break brilliance? August 1942, Rommel's headquarters. Intelligence officers reviewed the situation. British 8th Army had new leadership. Again, Rommel had seen this before. New commanders arrived with confidence. They inherited broken formations, shattered morale, soldiers who remembered Tobruk. He studied Montgomery's record. Dunkirk, training commands, methodical, nothing impressive. The assessment was straightforward. Another careful British general will reorganize before attacking. Standard procedure requires 3 to 4 months. The math was simple: rebuild unit cohesion, restore confidence, train coordination, integrate new equipment. Minimum 12 weeks. Rommel's staff agreed. The British pattern was consistent. They moved slowly, planned carefully, attacked cautiously. By November, maybe December, Montgomery might be ready. But there was a problem: fuel. Rommel's tanks sat idle. Convoys sunk weekly. Luftwaffe diverted to Russia. Italian trucks unreliable. His plan depended on one thing: strike before Montgomery was ready. If he got fuel in September, he could attack, catch 8th Army mid-reorganization, break them again. If not, he would defend, hold the line, make Montgomery pay for every mile. Either way, time was his ally. The British needed months to prepare. He needed weeks to destroy. The logic was sound, based on 2 years of experience. British generals were predictable, slow to adapt, slower to attack. What Rommel didn't calculate was this: Montgomery wasn't preparing to attack quickly. He was preparing to make speed irrelevant. While Rommel counted weeks until British readiness, Montgomery was building something else, a battlefield where Rommel's greatest strength would become his fatal weakness. August 13, 1942, Montgomery arrived at 8th Army headquarters. No fanfare, just a man with a plan. He called a meeting. Officers gathered, some skeptical, another new commander. He spoke for 10 minutes. The message was blunt. No more retreating. We fight here or nowhere. The changes began immediately. Week 1, command structure. He fired officers, reshuffled divisions, clarified chain of command. No more independent decisions. Every unit had specific orders, specific objectives, specific timelines. Corps commanders who liked initiative were reassigned. He wanted executors, not improvisers. Week 2, training. Infantry practiced breaching minefields. Engineers rehearsed clearing lanes under fire. Artillery units drilled coordination. Fire plans synchronized to the minute. Tank crews trained with infantry, not separately, together. Soldiers grumbled. They had fought Rommel for months. Now they were doing drills like recruits. Week 3, logistics. Supply dumps grew. Ammunition, fuel, food, medical supplies. Railheads extended. Trucks ran schedules, depots organized by grid reference. By September, 8th Army had stockpiles for sustained battle, not raid, battle. Week 4, equipment. New tanks arrived, American Shermans, more reliable than Crusaders. Anti-tank guns repositioned. 6-pounders replaced 2-pounders. Desert Air Force expanded. New aircraft, better coordination with ground forces. Week 8, doctrine. The plan was distributed. Operation Lightfoot, not a breakthrough, a crumbling operation. Infantry would create corridors through minefields. Armor would exploit. Artillery would suppress. Phase 1, Phase 2, Phase 3. Every officer knew the sequence. Every unit knew its role. Week 12, morale. Montgomery walked through positions, spoke to battalions. Simple message: we are stronger than them. Better supplied, better trained. We will win. Soldiers noticed something. The panic was gone. Staff officers stopped looking over their shoulders. Supply lines held. Reinforcements arrived on schedule. By October, 8th Army was different. Not improvising, not reacting, waiting. 75 days. That's what Montgomery had. From August 13th to October 23rd, 75 days to turn a beaten army into a machine. Rommel expected months of British reorganization. He got 10 weeks of methodical preparation. On October 23, 1942, at 9:40 p.m., 952 guns opened fire. The slow general was ready. October 23, 1942, 9:40 p.m. Rommel's expectation. The attack would come. Montgomery was predictable. British would probe defenses, test strength, pull back, regroup, attack again in weeks. Standard procedure. Rommel's plan: absorb the initial assault, let them exhaust themselves on minefields, counterattack with armor when they overextend. He had done this before. Reality: 952 guns fired simultaneously. Not probing, not testing, total bombardment. 15 minutes, 20,000 shells. The coordination was unprecedented. Batteries fired on synchronized timelines. No wasted salvos. Every gun assigned specific targets. German positions disintegrated. Then, infantry advanced. Through smoke, through dust. But they weren't charging. They were executing. Engineers marked lanes through minefields. Infantry followed exact corridors. Sappers cleared obstacles meter by meter. Slow, methodical, unstoppable. Rommel's response: October 24th, dawn. He ordered counterattacks. 15th Panzer Division moved to threatened sector. The tanks rolled, then stopped. Fuel shortage. He redirected 21st Panzer. Same result. Half the division immobile. What mobility he had, he committed, but the battlefield had changed. No open flanks to exploit, no supply columns to raid, just narrow corridors between minefields. His tanks entered the kill zones. British anti-tank guns waited, entrenched, supported by artillery. German armor suffered losses. The grinding. October 25th,
to November 1st. Montgomery didn't break through. He crumbled. Attack one sector, draw reserves, shift to another sector, repeat. Rommel's mobile divisions were tied down, reacting, not maneuvering. Every movement burned fuel he didn't have. Every counterattack faced fresh British units, rested, supplied, coordinated. The Desert Air Force dominated. German trucks destroyed on roads. Supply dumps bombed. Movement during daylight became suicide. Rommel wrote, "The battle is going heavily against us. We are facing an enemy superior in every respect." Supercharge. November 2nd, 1 a.m. Montgomery launched the decisive phase. Operation Supercharge. New infantry divisions. Fresh armor, concentrated on a narrow front, 4,000 yards wide, 300 guns, 90 minutes of fire, then tanks. The German line fractured. Rommel had no reserves. His panzer divisions were already committed, already suffering, already immobile. November 3rd, reality set in. He couldn't hold. He couldn't maneuver. He couldn't retreat without fuel. He requested permission to withdraw. Hitler refused. Stand fast or die. Rommel ignored the order. November 4th, the retreat began. Why Rommel's method failed. Geography trapped him. Sea to depression, 60 miles. No room for flanking maneuvers. Logistics starved him. No fuel for mobile warfare. No ammunition for sustained defense. Montgomery's preparation overwhelmed him. Every advantage Rommel usually exploited, surprise, speed, initiative, was neutralized by methodical firepower and overwhelming supply. Why Montgomery's method worked? He turned the desert into an industrial problem. More shells, more tanks, more men. He removed chance. Every phase planned, every contingency prepared. He made speed irrelevant. Rommel couldn't outmaneuver what wouldn't chase him. The result? 13 days of battle. Axis casualties, 30,000 lost, captured, or removed from action.
50,000 more captured during retreat. British casualties, 13,000. Rommel's army never recovered. The Desert Fox had been cornered, starved, and broken. Not by brilliance, by preparation. November 5th, 1942. Rommel's staff compiled the damage report. The numbers were devastating, but the analysis was worse. Immediate assessment. German intelligence officers interviewed survivors, tank crews, infantry, artillery spotters. The pattern was consistent. Enemy artillery fire was precise, coordinated across entire front. Supply columns operated without interruption, even under air attack. British infantry advanced with discipline. No panic, no confusion. One officer wrote, "This is not the army we faced at Gazala." Rommel's own report to Berlin was blunt. The enemy's superiority in materiel was overwhelming. Our fuel situation made mobile defense impossible. The battle was lost before it began. That last line mattered. The Desert Fox was admitting something he had never admitted before. He had been outplanned. German staff analysis. Wehrmacht operations officers studied the battle. They noted Montgomery's method, the phases, the coordination, the logistics. One report stated, British command demonstrated industrial approach to warfare, victory achieved through systematic application of superior resources. Another, enemy refused to engage on terms favorable to mobile operations. Battlefield geometry eliminated our tactical advantages. Translation, Montgomery didn't let Rommel fight the way Rommel fought best. The analysis reached Hitler. He blamed Rommel for retreating. The staff knew better. Rommel had been beaten by something he couldn't outmaneuver: arithmetic, long-term recognition. After the war, captured German generals were debriefed. Fritz Bayerlein, Rommel's chief of staff, was asked about El Alamein. His answer? "We were not defeated by Montgomery's genius. We were defeated by his resources and his patience. He fought a battle we could not win."
General Siegfried Westphal, operations officer in North Africa, Montgomery understood that Rommel's strength was mobility. He created conditions where mobility was worthless. This was more effective than trying to outmaneuver him. In 1947, German military historians analyzed the North African campaign. Their conclusion? El Alamein demonstrated that operational skill cannot compensate for strategic disadvantage. Superior tactics require minimum resources to function. Below that threshold, brilliance is irrelevant. Rommel himself, before he passed away in 1944, wrote in his papers, "The battle of material had been decided before the battle of wills could begin. Montgomery fought with the strengths he possessed. I fought with strengths I no longer had, the recognition." The German military establishment understood what happened. Montgomery hadn't outsmarted Rommel. He had made smartness irrelevant. He built a battlefield where preparation beat improvisation, where logistics beat tactics, where patience beat genius. And Rommel, the master of mobile warfare, had no answer. The desert fox had been hunted by a slower predator, one that didn't chase, one that waited. November 1942 to May 1943, Montgomery pursued Rommel across Libya. Tobruk retaken. Benghazi, Tripoli, the Desert Fox retreated 1,500 miles from Egypt to Tunisia. Rommel left Africa in March 1943, sick, exhausted. The legend remained, the army did not. May 13, 1943, Tunisia fell. 230,000 Axis soldiers surrendered. The North African campaign was over. The paths forward. Montgomery went to Sicily, then Italy, then Normandy. His methods stayed consistent. Careful preparation, overwhelming force, methodical advance. Critics called him slow. Eisenhower grew frustrated. Patton mocked him. But Montgomery kept winning. Not brilliantly, not quickly, but reliably. Rommel went to France, built the Atlantic Wall, prepared for invasion. But without resources, without mobility, his genius was wasted on static defense.
July 1944, hit in an air attack. October 1944, forced to take his own life for alleged conspiracy. The fast general was lost before the war ended. The slow general lived to be a field marshal. The formula: speed wins battles when resources are equal. Preparation wins campaigns when resources are unequal. But choosing the right battlefield wins wars. The lesson: Rommel's mistake wasn't tactical, it was strategic. He fought where conditions favored his opponent. Narrow front, no fuel, no room to maneuver. Montgomery's victory wasn't genius, it was patience. He refused to fight on Rommel's terms. He built a battlefield where his strengths mattered and Rommel's didn't. This principle extends beyond warfare. In business, the fastest company doesn't always win. The best funded company wins if it controls the conditions of competition. In negotiations, the side that can wait longest has the advantage. In any conflict, the question isn't who is more talented, it's who controls the arena. Rommel was the more naturally gifted commander, more creative, more daring, more inspiring. But Montgomery understood something deeper. Brilliance without resources is just theater. Preparation with resources is inevitable. The final word: El Alamein didn't prove that slow generals beat fast generals. It proved that the general who controls the conditions beats the general who reacts to them. Rommel tried to win with what he had. Montgomery made sure what he had was enough to win. The Desert Fox was never outfought. He was outlasted.